Hi, welcome to BOA Today. My name is Tim Hinton. I'm the Beast of the Marching Arts, the host of the Marching Roundtable podcast, and the creator of Marching Arts Education. Thank you for watching. Here's what's coming up on this episode. On this episode, we talk with an expert on technology in the marching arts, sharing ideas on how to be less intimidated and be more successful. Plus, we hear from a student about what BOA meant to them, get a preview of this weekend's 4 regional championships, and meet 2 directors from Goshen High School who are taking their band to a regional this weekend. All on BOA Today.
The Marching Roundtable presents BOA Today, a special podcast created to take you behind the scenes and up close to the great performances, interesting stories, and fascinating people that make Bands of America so exciting. The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Music for All. This podcast series is sponsored by Fred J. Miller Incorporated, found at fjminc.com/roundtable.
Hi, I'm John Best. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Currently, I'm a professional software developer, professional musician, and spent 10 years in music education and about another 10 years in professional software development. And I'm combining that into a PhD in music technology at IUPUI in Indianapolis.
I think band directors have to deal with technology in the world of marching band a lot these days, and that can be very intimidating because it's not something that a lot of us sort of grew up doing, and we're trying to figure it out. And sometimes you're putting a lot of faith in, someone on your staff, which works fine, but I still think can be very intimidating. So can we talk about that relationship that band directors and marching bands have with technology?
Yes.
And what advice would you want to give some band director or staff member at a school to help them sort of either be less intimidated by it or have a better relationship, or just general advice on how to do it better?
Well, there's the humorous responses, and then there's like the actual, but yeah, one of the things I notice is like the first reaction is get a kid to help you, because the kid's going to be better at it than you, and he's going to show you stuff and have more time to tinker with it, right? So that's like kind of the humorous response. But I think the biggest thing that I think that I've never had with technology, that's not true. I have had it, but I've overcome it, is that fear factor that I'm going to mess something up, and that's kind of the first thing that you've got to get over. I remember the first time that I wanted to push code that I wrote onto an iPhone. That was scary. I thought I was about to brick my iPhone, and I didn't know if I should do it or not. And I had to get over that fear in order to actually make progress. And I think there's like a fear factor that keeps people from learning how to use this stuff. And so, but that fear factor quickly goes away with familiarity. So you just have to push over the hump with that. If it's a digital mixer, maybe you want to learn the things that could be the maximum things that could go wrong. Make sure that you mute before you unplug the cable, or, here's the kill switch. Like if something goes majorly wrong, you can stop it all if you do this right here. And hit the mute on the master channel and show them the basics to where they start to feel comfortable doing the things that they're doing. And I've been a part of some really good workshops. Like that was one of the things most high school band programs that I worked in. I've been the guy that's been helping run the marching band sound, or educating one of the students how to run it, or setting up the equipment, or later on a consultant. Hey, what should we purchase and how do we set it up? And to do some, and maybe I'd come in and do some training or things like that on it. And so there's a process involved to get there, and a lot of it is knowing the procedures to take. It's not really, if you can plug in a VCR to your people don't plug in VCRs anymore, but back in the day when we had to if you plug in a streaming device into a TV, right, that's about as much as you need to know in order to start setting up audio equipment. But you just do it over and over again, and then you learn how all these things are just compartmentalized, and then how they work together. If you just start learning a little bit, it'll all start putting itself together, and it'll build upon itself.
There are resources out there to help you learn the basics and get familiar and have that experience.
Yeah.
Just to start by seeking those out. What's interesting about this too, John, is I find myself saying to band directors a lot like, hey, whatever your instrument is or your area of expertise, you need to know how to spin a flag, at least a little bit. You need to know what that's all about. You need to know how to, play some things on a marimba or whatever. So whatever your experiences are, but I hadn't really thought of it until right now we're having this conversation. They need to have this little, at least some bit of information here too, some experience around the electronics. So your sort of point of get in there, learn the basics, and learn to get over the initial intimidation factor. I think that would be true for spinning a flag or throwing a rifle or plugging in your electronics.
That's an absolutely brilliant point. It's basically an instrumental methods class. It's just your instrument's a mixer. And that's great. That's a great point. And something to think about for curriculum, right? That's probably going to find its way in eventually. But that would be a good way of conceptualizing it and presenting it to the powers that be, why the necessity for it. Like, this is part of instrumental, methods. So
it's part of what you're doing. It's part of what you're presenting out there in the world. If you're in a marching band these days, you're probably going to have some of these pieces in the mix.
Right.
No pun intended. And the other thing that's interesting, John, too, is that, I always lamented, it seems to me like we keep adding new layers to our shows that are very exciting, that make the shows more interesting and fun and surprising, but it also adds layers of things that can continuously go wrong. It used to be, man, well, my trumpet soloist make it through and hit that note or whatever, but now you have to also make, is he mic'd correctly, and is all this prop moving around him going to move? So the intimidating thing to me is all the layers. As a technology guy, how do I get past the idea that I'm adding all these things that can, extra layers of things that can go wrong?
I would say the way I've done, so the majority of when I've done this work was with the Woodlands High School, and I was a pit tech for them for several years as one of, many different, I taught private lessons and pit tech and that kind of thing. And the way that we handled it was repetition. Like, we would practice setting up the audio, tearing it down, setting up the whole pit, tearing it down, and really empower the students, because you can't have the parents there all the time, but really empower the students to know exactly what needs to be where. And then I would do things which I call, like, I don't remember what, maybe it was like Apollo 13 training or something like that, like the movie, and they're training, and they would say, they're like, oh, well, this mission's going really well. They're like, let's give them a flat tire on landing. And then they would like make a little switch and see how they would handle it, right? Well, I do that with my students. I call it NASA-ing the practice, to where they're setting it all up, but I'll go secretly screw something up to see if they can troubleshoot and figure it out, and get them not to just understand, like, I know, like the monkey see, monkey do, like plug this here and plug that there, but conceptualize what's actually going on. So if there's a problem, they're like, oh, I'm not hearing my sound. I know the first place I need to go to check to make sure something didn't go wrong. And once the students know that, then when you get the parents there on show day, right, you tell the parents you're taking directions from the kids. Like, don't flip it around on them. They know how to do this. You can do what they say, but they're the boss today. And as long as you understand that, you can be on my pit crew, and that worked really well.
Coming up next, we hear from Adam Ramsey, a student at UTSA who performed at BOA events with the Cypress Falls High School Band and graduated in 2019.
I got to meet up with a friend from the internet at the 2016 San Antonio Super Regional. And now, many, many years past our graduations, we are still in contact and we still chat fairly often, and we actually got to meet up once more as she was on tour with the Crossmen this past summer. Thanks to Bands of America and Music Education, we are great friends to this very day.
There are 4 regionals coming up this weekend in Toledo, Austin, Shenandoah, Texas, and Des Moines, Iowa. There are fantastic performances at all of them. And at the Toledo Regional, there are 6 states represented. After this brief sponsor message, we'll be hearing from 2 of the band directors at Goshen High School who are performing at the Toledo Regional this weekend.
My name is Tom Cox. I'm one of the band directors. This is year 23 for me at Goshen, but year 30 overall for teaching. So this is my third stop, my probably final stop.
I'm Josh Kaufman. This is my 17th year here at Goshen in my present position. Before that, I was in Denver, Colorado for 6 years at Sheridan High School. And I actually grew up in Goshen. I actually went through this program. So a long time ago, I was in the marching band. I was drum major. And yeah, I'm happy to be back.
And then I came in 2001 and then taught here a couple of years by myself. And as the program grew, one of the longtime band director here is Max Maltz. He stayed at the middle school and I came to the high school. We just had to get more help because the program was growing. And it was him that said, we have to get Josh Kaufman back from Colorado. So call him and see if he'd come back to Indiana.
That's great. Okay, so the Goshen Band is scheduled to do 2 regionals plus Grand Nationals. So Tom, why do you do these performances with your band?
We've been doing the BOA regionals for a while, and Toledo's fairly close to Goshen. We're in northern Indiana, and Toledo's not that far away. So that's a pretty obvious choice for us. It's a good early contest to get our kids in a big stadium, and for them just to, the caliber of evaluation that you get at BOA is the tops. So we like to go to get, that feedback. We've been pretty fortunate in making finals every time we go. So, and then we decided to get a chance to get inside Lucas Oil before the Indiana State Finals. And then we try and go to Grand Nationals every 3 or 4 years. We want our kids to have that experience. Every kid that comes through the program, we want them to have that experience. So we want to do that at least once every 4 years. And this is a year.
How about you, Josh? Do you want to weigh in on that? What do you feel like is the benefit of showing up at the Bands of America contests?
I will say, I think the first regional that we went to was maybe in 2009. And we do like an end of year survey of all the kids to get just their opinion on things at the end of the year. And pretty overwhelmingly, all the students said, we need to go every year. We need to go to BOA. It's so much of a better experience. We get to see different bands. It's a big place. We get to perform twice in a day. It's a very long trip. So we made it more consistent, and then, it's just grown from there. So I think it's really a more rewarding experience for the students.
Is there anything else about your program that you think makes you unique? Is there any certain twist to things at Goshen that you would like to mention?
We do not live next to a major city. So we don't have the Indianapolis Symphony teaching private lessons to our kids. I'm most proud of that. Our concert band is a state finalist. Our marching band is usually a state finalist. Jazz state finalist, winter guard, and winter percussion. So, we don't necessarily have, like I said, Uber money or, 75 kids taking private lessons. These kids work really hard, and that's kind of the neat story of Goshen, to be honest.
I would agree with that. We just work hard, and we're not next to IU, so kids don't take private lessons. Usually if they do, it's from one of their band directors, because we're about the only resources we have. Our population of our town is like 36,000, so it's a relatively small town.
You go to Midwest and you read the back of those programs and go, oh my Lord, doctorate. That's not around Goshen.
I like this story though, because there's always a way to make it work. There's always a way to create excellence no matter where you are. And I have to tell you, Tom, most schools are not near major universities with lots of doctorate and private teachers. Like really, most band directors are in your situation. So what are you and Josh and your whole team doing to be able to achieve this high level of excellence you just described without those benefits of having that right near you?
I think we're good at breaking things down as far as little nuggets the kids need to work on. We work well as a team. Obviously, Josh and I have been working together 17 years. We have 2 junior high band directors, and that one of those guys is a Goshen grad and went to Ball State, got his degree, marched Madison, came back home to help us teach our kids. And I think we all kind of get it that, if we're going to do it, then we all, like Josh is a great brass and woodwind player and very good at running rehearsals. He's great at that. So we break things down into chunks that kids can do. And I think our kids like it. They like being pushed and, achieving at a high level. Cool. Josh and I are in the 6th grade band every day. And there's 5 of us, and we all, so there's the 2 of us, and then Max and Max, I actually both named Max, at the middle school and a percussion specialist. And all 5 band directors are there during 6th grade every day. And that's, I think, part of the magic as well, is that we see them 6 through 12.
Okay, everybody, they finally got to it. That was the nugget. It's like the real core thing, and that's really smart, guys. That's a lot of extra work for everybody, but that is really, really smart. Lots of really good teaching, lots of good planning. Everybody, we're hearing about planning, everybody on the same team, working with the students throughout their whole career. These are things that are making it work at Goshen. I cannot wait to follow you guys through the season. We're going to talk to all kinds of different parts of your band family. I especially want to talk to Max, has been around forever. Like that's a man I definitely want to talk to too. So it's going to be really fun. Thanks for taking time to talk with me today.
It's been our pleasure.
Coming up next week on BOA Today, we talk with a band director taking his band to the Flagstaff Regional. Plus, we hear from a college band director about why every student should continue in marching band in college.
Watch for BOA Today every Wednesday this season from the Marching Roundtable. We take you behind the scenes and up close to the great performances, interesting stories, and fascinating people that make Bands of America so exciting. If you have a story about your band family that you would like us to share, please contact Tim via email at tim@marchingroundtable.com or fill out the contact form at marchingroundtable.com. Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Sign up for a membership to Marching Arts Education to get complete access to all webinars, videos, and podcasts, plus discounts on coursework. Many directors are using professional development funds through their school or boosters to make these resources available to their staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com. Marching Arts Education and the Marching Roundtable are proud strategic partners of Music for All. The Bands of America Championships, presented by Yamaha, are a program of Music for All. Music for All's mission is to create, provide, and expand positively life-changing experiences through music for all. For more resources for educators and boosters, please visit advocacy.musicforall.org.